I'm going to show you the simplest and best goat horn farm for survival Minecraft. This is my second time making a goat horn farm tutorial video, and I have a lot of great tips for you this time. It's going to produce plenty of both the normal and the screaming goat horns. I'm going to show you the simple steps you're going to need to follow to find the right location, to get the goats, and do the build, as well as some great tips to make this thing fun and easy to get all the goat horns you're ever going to need. And at the end, I'll show you how to use the Audioplayer mod to make some really fun custom goat horn sounds that you can entertain your friends with.
One of these days, I'll learn redstone.
Part 1. Location. You gotta figure out where you're getting your goats from. They spawn in the snowy slopes, jagged peaks, and frozen peaks biomes. Now, you can build your farm here. It might actually be the easiest place to build them. For traveling small distances, I would just take some wheat and a lead. Well, 2 leads. You'll need to make sure you have 2 goats to breed them up. Now, my favorite method, you actually can just use a raft and 1 lead to pull the 2 goats in the same raft or boat. You'll need elytra. You'll be needing more than this. I would recommend 3 stacks of scaffolding. As you can see here, I'm at about 160 in elevation, and the top of the world is at 319. And from 319, you can coast going 45 degrees down, 45 degrees up, and so on and so forth, following that pattern until you get all the way over there. There's my base about 3,000 blocks away, and I made it just fine. No rockets. Rockets will break the lead, so don't use rockets. And if you don't have elytra, or you would just prefer to walk, but it is a long distance, make a portal. I recommend putting the portal on the nether roof, but any portal should do technically, and you can use your leads and or wheat to get them through the nether a little bit faster, 8 times faster, unless of course there's problems in the nether. Again, if you want the simplest way to build this farm, build it right into the side of the mountain, and you don't even have to move them that far. Also, if you do put the scaffolding here to fly, that's a lot of scaffolding. Maybe come back and pick it up later. Don't forget. Also, if you're wondering how I can see so far, I'm currently using Voxy. I put out a video so far on Distant Horizons, and I'll have one coming up about Voxy, so subscribe. Part 2, the build. So, you're going to want to have a long hallway, and maybe 2, depending on if you want a separate area for the screaming goats. But this long hallway should prevent the goats from getting out, and potentially have an airlock area on the other side where you can have your supplies, like wheat and storage for goat horns. And in here on one end, the most important part is you're going to want to have a stone ledge. It could be other naturally generating blocks that are found in the mountains, like ice, but stone is by far the easiest one because it will break off the horns when they crash into it. And what you do is you just elytra glide under here, or use a trapdoor to force yourself into crawl mode. And once you're down here, the goats will back up and charge at you. Now, as you can see here, at 7 and then 8 blocks away from this ledge, I have put the vines, and this prevents them from entity colliding. Their hitboxes will actually collide unless they're in vines, in which case it doesn't actually slow them down. All this does is slowly speed up the rate at which they can charge you. Kind of nice. Again, I have some vines here because once they've built up here, it's a little hard to get out, and these vines actually prevent them from colliding with me as well, right there. So other than lighting and a hallway that's at least 8 blocks long with that stone ledge, that's all you need. Everything else is just extra. Part 3, upgrades. Here I have a 5-minute breeding cooldown timer. As you can see, you push this button. This triggers the note block to trigger the observer and tells this dropper to put an item on the pressure plate, and the pressure plate keeps the light on for 5 minutes. And in that 5 minutes, you can breed them up, and once you bred up your goats, they will be ready to breed again when the light goes off. Kinda handy. Instead of a light, or in addition, you could also have a note block to play a sound. Another great tip for working with especially the screaming goats, since they are more aggressive, is to hold wheat in your hand when you're just positioning yourself, because then they will not attack you. And then when you're ready, release the wheat out of your hand, and then let them all charge. All these charge so much. And then again, use the vines, climb on out. They'll prevent the hitboxes from colliding with you, and you can come right out. Now, I personally don't recommend having hoppers underneath here because it will stop them from charging. They will not charge over a raw hopper or a hopper with carpet on top. You could, though, put hopper minecarts underneath here. However, you can't put the hoppers underneath soul sand or mud. See here, I've tested it, but I don't think it's worth the effort. If you are going to use hoppers, make sure to cover at least 5 to 6 blocks of the hallway, because they can shoot pretty far back. What I recommend is just you AFK it for a couple minutes, and most of them will have charged at you at that point. And you'll probably spend most of your time out here in the airlock area anyway. There's really not too much point in automating the collection of the horns. I personally don't believe it's that useful. What you instead could be doing is keeping all of these different types organized. Now you have the screaming goat variety and the normal goat variety, and they make different sounds. Let's give them a listen. Sing. Feel. Okay. Seek. And ponder. Then the screaming goats. If you want to get screaming goats, you will have to breed up your normal goats. They are somewhat rare, so just listen for the sound of screaming goats. They make this screaming sound. Is this baby a screaming baby? You can also turn on the audio subtitles. It'll give you different captions for their noises. Goat bellows is a screaming goat noise. And then, once you've identified them, put them on a lead and bring them somewhere else. Or you can name tag them and just breed them mixed with your normal goats. I personally like to have them separate. Now, these produce the yearn, everyone's favorite, call, sounds like THX sounds, dream, and admire. Part 4, Audioplayer. Now, if you're like me, you're going to want these goat horns for mainly one thing, and that is customizing them with the Audioplayer mod. And I personally think the easiest way to do this is install it on your server or your single player world, and then use /audioplayer file bin. With the Audioplayer file bin, you can open your chat, click on the link, it will open up a website. In that website, you're just going to upload your file. Once it's uploaded, you can then come back and click here. Downloaded it. Great. So now come over here, grab a horn that you don't mind overwriting. Take this one, and then we're going to open the chat again. I'm going to click the put on item and just hit enter. It's raining goat horns from out of the sky. It's raining goat horns. Anyway, you can have a lot of fun with custom audio horns. You can also use the Audioplayer mod on audio discs as well as player heads or any type of mob head. So that is all there is for the build and the extras. I highly recommend these farms. They're very easy. All of this in survival on the Grumblecraft server took me maybe 2 to 3 hours. If you enjoyed this video on goats, I hope you'll check out my Grumblecraft episodes. I'll be putting one right here, so go check that out. Thanks. See you in the next one.